This podcast is rated S for sexy and contains mature themes, explicit sexual content, and some freaky ass shit. So if your trigger warning list is longer than the schlongs in these books, protect your innocent ears from the salacious musings of this red hot pod. But if you're a pervy peach like us with one hand on your Kindle and the other between your folds, strap on, in, for the unhinged book club ride of your wet dreams.
This is Between the Folds.
Oh, and there's definitely going to be spoilers. Don't say we didn't warn you. As for the rest of you freaky little strumpets, let's get into it.
Welcome to the club. Pull up a seat. Between the folds where the kings all meet. Welcome to the club. Let's slip right through. Between the folds where literature is loose.
Hi, friends.
Hi.
Back from your holiday for six.
It wasn't quite like the book,
I mean, I did get a UTI.
but she got it the boring way, not the fun way, though.
Oh, rude.
I don't think that's true, actually. I think I got it the fun way. It was after that wine tasting night. Things got a little spicy in our bunker. Things were not as sanitized as they could be. We needed a cleanup crew on aisle Lindsay. Hence the problems, you know?
Yeah. Ooh. Okay, hi. It's me, your Minister of Moisture, Elisa, and this week's Commander in Cliterature. And I am here with,
Lusty Lieutenant Lindsay.
guaranteed to loudly exclaim she finds squirting hot in inappropriate places, and
The gender of joyful orifices, Jess.
raw dogging the internet searches without a private window protection so long that even her cookies are sticky.
So fucking true.
And just remember, as we give our overview, we listen and we don't judge.
Except for when we do.
This week on Between the Folds, we are wetter than the dew on C.M. Nascasta's Sweet Berries. A story about a nerdy, shy, matter-of-fact mothman who turns out to be a 24-hour tongue-powered pleasure marathon. We are talking Dyson-level suction, vibrating equipment, and let's just say his specimen collection comes in huge, hot loads. Sweet, yes. Berry, juicy, folds. Oh, he's between them, and he does not disappoint. All right, so Sweet Berries is the second book in C.M. Nascasta series following Morning Glory Milking Farm, and it is just as wild and perhaps a little less unhinged than Morning Glory Milking Farm was. But Sweet Berries takes place in Cambric Creek, which is a quirky little town where humans and monsters coexist as if it's no big deal. And Grace is our fierce, super horny event planner who's coming off of a very long dry spell, and she thinks that she might hook up with her sexy minotaur coworker Brogan. But then Merrick, a mothman, shows up. He's shy. He says it like he thinks it. He's a scientist, and he essentially has a tongue that is a vacuum cleaner and has stamina for days. But then what started as unbridled anonymous voyeurism and exhibitionism turns Grace and Merrick diving into a sexual relationship with non-stop oral marathons that were unreal. So essentially this book is them forging a relationship and whether or not it can be something that's longer than just temporary. Let's get into it.
Longer than his tongue.
I don't think that's possible.
It's very long.
Okay, I just got completely distracted by you saying this is a little less unhinged than Morning Glory Milking Farm, because we have a mothman with a never-ending tongue, very explicit details of lizard dicks, which I'm now fascinated by, of bat dicks, all of these things. So I would argue that this is just a different kind of unhinged, not less unhinged than Morning Glory Milking Farm.
I guess from my perspective, it is less than this book, I didn't go, whoa. So maybe that's just me. I also thought this was a very sweet kind of romance book that happened to have sex instead of Morning Glory Milking Farm, which was juicy.
I kind of agree. I thought this book was sweet as cotton candy. I loved it. It was sexy and sweet. I honestly have zero complaints about this book.
As I was reading it, I was like, oh, this is my husband and this is me. I
Yes.
could not have identified harder with characters, not because you know how normally you like put yourself into a character and you're like, oh yeah, I'm like experienced. Nope. I was like, oh, this is minus the voyeurism and exhibitionism part that linked them together. Sorry, that wasn't that salacious. But he is quiet. He's reserved. He is got social anxiety. He says the things that he means very literally because he's a little bit on the tism spectrum. And so I was like, literally, oh, that's Ryan. Minus the tongue. I'm so sad to say.
Oh, how unfortunate. Ryan,
Tongue's
get
not-
after that.
It's not as long as Merrick's is, but you know.
I totally agree with relating to parts of this so hard. I mean, my husband isn't particularly like quiet, but he does say what he means. He can be very literal. There were parts of Grace that I related to so hard, especially coming out of my first marriage, especially around like when you've been starved for any kind of like physical affection. I just loved her complete lack of shame around like, I'm fucking horny and I just need to go out and get some. And I just really loved how direct she was in that.
I wholeheartedly agree. I think there were scenes where she was talking about Brogan, the coworker on the farm, and literally she's like, hello, I'm going to get me some.
She has so much more willpower than I. Like when I was like going through that, I was like, fuck it. That ship would have sailed
You would have been all over it.
far earlier.
Not worried about my job. Doesn't matter.
There was a scene that ends in the funniest line. One of the funniest lines in this book. There's probably like 3 or 4, but this was one of the funniest lines for me. You need to have a glass sometime, Grace. This milk does a body good.
I loved that line. And I also loved so many other lines in this.
Oh
When
my
Yes.
I
God,
read this
yeah.
book, I literally laughed out loud many times. Jess can attest. Anyone who was on the boat, I read it while
Yes.
we were on our holiday for 6. And I would be sitting up on the boat just like giggling to myself.
One of the lines, this is the first line I think that just made me laugh my ass off. And it was in the beginning, and it's Grace is super sexually frustrated. So that's why she's thinking about sleeping with her coworker or really anybody. And the quote is, otherwise she was likely to become horny enough to go writhing around on the sidewalk like a cat in heat, yowling and offering her pussy to any passerby that wanted to fill it. I died. I can just
I loved
picture this so viscerally. I could just relate to that so hard.
Yeah, if we're talking about lines that broke us, but like in a good way, I have my top 2 favorite lines. But honestly, I highlighted the 1,000 lines. The first one was she says, Merrick, I'm pretty sure you hoovered an entire layer of nerve endings off my clit. Obviously, we're going to do that again.
That was literally after they had just had sex for the first time. It's, can we do that again? And she was like, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you hoovered all my nerve endings off. For sure. We're going to do that again.
I'd like to give that a shot myself. Could we hoover off all of my nerve endings down there? Thanks. Great.
I'm like, I don't know if I want to hoover them all off because I want them to stick around so that I can use them again. But I thought that was excellent. The second one was finish inside me, she wheezed, her eyes crossing as he vibrated against her G-spot. If this is what all Mothmen could do, someone needed to alert the media, alert Congress. This needed to be the headline of every newspaper. The only story talked about on the news. Hot single Mothman with Dyson-strength tongues and vibrating dicks are in a neighborhood near you.
Yes.
Loved.
That was another quote that I pulled out too because I thought that was fucking hysterical. Call your senators, people.
Yeah.
The people need to know.
Okay, I'm going to jump ahead for a little bit to half-assed internet research because this got me. I'm not like the let's look that up human, but in this situation I was. Because after they had sex for the first time and she was like, come inside me, I'm on the pill. She described a mammoth amount of jizz to the point where like for a chapter later she's still leaking out of her as she's at work.
And that chapter later was the next day later.
Correct. Like still
yeah.
coming out of her, and not like just dribble. She had to go dress herself.
I believe she had to like push it out of her body because she was trying
Yes.
to get as much out as possible. It was quite a visceral scene, I thought.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why didn't he just use that Hoover tongue to suck it all out?
Right?
Also, I looked up, do moths ejaculate a lot? Because, the inquiring minds need to know, have we done this accurate? And I can assure you, did you know that moths can ejaculate 10% of their body weight? 10%!
Holy shit.
So let's just say that Merrick is like 180 pounds. That's 18 pounds of jizz up in there.
I'm real glad I didn't know that during the book.
That's amazing. I would like to share some of my own half-assed internet research because I found this to be a very worthy endeavor. So they describe his genitalia in a very specific way, right? So first it's in its own little cunt pouch is what I would like to call it, that she can get her fingers into. And then he has this crazy dick situation where it was slippery smooth and riddled with thick pulsing veins, vaguely S-shaped tentacle appendage, and then it was thick and curving with a quivering tapered tip. And so I was like, what's a moth dick look like? And I went on to the Google and I found myself some interesting information. But my favorite part is this YouTube video called Insect Erections from 1997. So there's scientists in this video. There's certain moth species that will come and decimate crops, and they're trying to identify them so they can figure out how to solve this pest problem. But apparently moths and many insects are best identified by their genitalia, so you can tell what type they are. And so this scientist created this device called a phalloblaster. Essentially takes a dead insect's genitalia and they blast it so that it inflates to its lifelike what it would look like if it was erect in the wild, so that they can then use it to identify them. And so then they have images of erect moth penises in this YouTube video. And it does look like what she described. It looks like a balloon animal sword situation where it's kind of curved and maybe you could twist some lumps in it, and it's this sort of vaguely S-shaped. It was really fascinating. I went on a whole journey and I quite enjoyed it.
I am going to see if we can find moth penises and insert it into this video. Poor choice of words, but splice perhaps into this video.
Thrust it into this video.
Yes, thrust it into your face. My God.
According to my Google research, moth genitalia, including the penis, which is called maybe an adagus. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm not super hip on entomology.
This is not that
terminology. But they are complex and vary between species, but they generally include a spherical genital capsule at the tip of the abdomen. So apparently quite varying. Our Mothman could have his totally own unique little situation.
I was going to say one of the other quotes that I had pulled out from the book. This is when Merrick is talking about not wearing pants because part of him is he doesn't wear clothes. He doesn't need to wear clothes because, as Lindsay described, he has this sort of slit. And Grace says, she's telling him maybe we should find some pants before you meet my parents. And she says, I don't want some random floozy sticking her fingers in your cock pocket. Best to cover it up. Cock pocket! That's all I thought about when I read that.
This is what I'm saying. This book was really funny. It was hilarious.
It really was.
And it didn't take me out of it either. It was funny and charming, and it didn't, I didn't feel like it took away from the sexiness or the sweetness of the story. It charmed me. The author threw in some what I called, socially and environmentally conscious smut in there. So, not the smut specifically, but I don't know if you guys remember this, but she was talking about the, global warming, because he's a scientist and he's investigating things, and so they make some comments about the impacts of global warming, and then even Grace does some personal reflection on basically being in the elite class of humans, and I was like, oh, look at us.
Well, social commentary with your smut books.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, this one had more social commentary like that than the first one, I think, which was just silly and ridiculous. This Mothman and this woman meet because he is peeping on her masturbating. And that is how the beginning of this story goes. She's super horny. She decides to masturbate with her windows open. She suddenly starts sensing that somebody's watching her, and she's really into it. And this happens a couple of times before they actually meet in person. But down to you have a woman main character who is human and like very embracing her sexuality. And then you have the male main character who is this kind of quiet, insecure. And so she's kind of the one who's more forward. And I just really appreciated that. She didn't have to wait for him to make moves. She was just like, okay, well, I'm going to do this.
Although, to be fair, he did stick his tongue on her clit before they even met. They had this voyeurism game, which the one time she felt like somebody was there, and so she played it up to them, and the second time she felt something on her clit. She later finds out it was Merrick's 400-foot tongue wrapping around there, sucking her off.
That was actually one of my nitpicks. That might maybe, other than the pants, which I forgot about, the pants pushing, was that she kept calling him a voyeur after she knew that he had got his tongue involved in the situation. I was like, can we still be a voyeur if he's like actively participating with his body? I don't know if we can call it voyeurism anymore. I think he's I think it's
Participant.
I think he's present. Yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't ask permission. He just got in there. And also, she didn't even know who he was. So I would consider that still voyeurism.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because he was like in the trees. She couldn't see him, period.
But he was there.
He was there.
It was touching.
Let's talk my new favorite section. I'm going to call it cum shots. What's your favorite sex scene?
So I, as an exhibitionist myself, I loved the first and the second scene, probably the second scene a little bit more because it was a much more like sexually gratifying experience for her where she is masturbating the second time with the very intention of hoping he's going to watch her again. I really enjoyed that scene a lot because she's all right. I'm going to give him a good show. I'm going to get my pillow out. I'm going to get my whole situation going. I really enjoyed that scene a lot.
I also enjoyed that scene very specifically. I thought the very beginning of the book with the first time that she masturbates and she feels like there's somebody there was like titillating, but that second one, which was like the intention and the desire for someone to watch, I think that it was so well described that I was like, ooh, this is sexy time. I liked it.
Yeah,
too.
and I think she like came so hard and then she just passed out afterwards. I was like, oh, that is the dream.
Yeah.
Dream fuck number 2 for you.
Yeah. I would agree with that. When they actually got into them, when they got together and having sex, like I enjoyed this whole book. I thought it was all a delight. I wasn't necessarily into that though. Like it just sounded painful. It sounded sticky, like with the 18 pounds now that we know of that was deposited in her, like the leaking over the course of days. Like, no, thank you. I was like, that kind of, it didn't like quite take me out. I was like, oh, okay, that's you do you. That I wasn't necessarily like turned on by their descriptions of their actual sex. Also, I just think I kept picturing just like long ass appendage that kept unfurling and just jabbed and poked instead of like, and I was just cringing.
I had a hard time with the concept of the really long tongue as well. I didn't in the application of sex scenes, but I think my brain kept making it smaller. It just made it smaller than the book was describing it because I was having a little bit of texture issue, as I like to say with that. But overall, I really liked the voyeuristic scenes, and I liked the first time they actually had sex. That was a really good scene as well.
I think this Mothman is my favorite monster that I've ever read in terms of his anatomy, all of his specialty parts, the tongue, the vibrating dick, like everything that he's got going on. I was like, I really feel like this is my favorite monster that I have read about. It's got all the good stuff.
I also love the nerd, right? I think it was so nice to not have a male character who's like swinging his dick in your face from that machismo perspective, and that he was respectful and he was soft in human ways, not soft in like this concept of masculinity, but just a normal human. And I think that it made it so much easier for me to be like, oh, yes, please, now put it in me. Because there's the softer side of a main male character.
For as like he's described as having social anxiety, and being very shy, and he has like a little bit of a stutter. But in the bedroom, that didn't translate. He wasn't not confident in the bedroom. He just wasn't this like big dick energy that we're used to reading in a lot of the books that we read. And I think there's something so sexy about that a guy who seemingly like out in the world is a little more quiet, is a little more maybe unsure of themselves and in how to talk to people. But when you get them into something, that kind of like pleasant surprise of somebody is, oh, I know what the fuck I'm doing and I'm going to do it. Like that to me is such a turn on. And the parts of the book, I think that actually was the biggest turn ons for me, even over and the descriptions of the actual sex. I thought that was so hot and so real.
And if he can lick your G-spot with his tongue, that's also a bonus. But
Yes. Yep. I'd like to try that before I die. Can we try that before I die?
oh, I would love that.
I'm
was,
going to
that
have
was
this.
Yeah, I was like, how can I have this happen to me?
They need to have an adult toy that's like a tongue that goes in. What if we design one? Oh, ooh. Can you imagine a little
G-spot, a
on the
G-spot
inside?
licker.
Not something that just bam, 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 bam.
Some tender little licks. Could be an attachment or something.
Whoever develops toys, you're welcome, and I'd like a cut. Thank you.
Adam and Eve, if you're listening, this is your
or
moment.
even a prototype. I'll be your beta tester.
Oh, absolutely. What a fun job. Someone has that job, and it's not me, and that's
Many
unfortunate.
people.
I am very intrigued by a suction vibrator. I know Lindsay's got one. It sounds like you have one too.
Huge
Lisa.
fan.
You said you
I
like-
have
Highly
one that's
recommend.
magical. Yep. I can even tell you the brand name.
So I bought one online. It's like a lemon. I can't fucking figure the goddamn thing out. Like I have looked things up on YouTube. I literally spent over an hour on our holiday for 6 cruise trying to figure this thing out because I figured it would be smaller than my magic wand, because anybody who has a magic wand, they are fucking phenomenal, but they're gigantic and kind of loud. So I was looking for something more discreet. So yeah, I spent like an hour trying to get this suction thing. I think I might have cut myself so that I had to recover from that a little bit because I don't,
Oh, shit.
it was just,
Were you using enough lube? I know that actually sounds crazy, but I know part of the suction, like on the suction vibrator, if you use enough lube, it works 17 times better. You should have called your minister of moisture.
Yeah. Or your suction vibrator expert. As an influencer for suction vibrators, self-proclaimed.
Oh, one of my oldest and best friends, and I am not being dramatic, literally last week texted me and she was like, have any good recommendations? Yes, here you go. Buy
Lindsay
it.
she texted me too. I got clinical in my research.
One question. Did you use a private browser this time?
Of course I didn't. I don't know how to do that.
How is she going to get ads for the good suction vibrators if she doesn't Google the bad one?
Oh, is this why I need a private browser? Because it gives me bad ads? I thought it was just so people couldn't come
It
sneak on my
literally-
computer. And I'm like, well, it's just me, so who cares? If it's Eric, then maybe he'll get ideas. So
I think you ruined Eric the time that he found your computer
inflatable-
open with the inflatable and like, plastic
Inflatable documentary.
dolls.
Okay, but for real, time for a quick plug. Lisa, I want to know what your suction vibrator of
Sure.
choice is, and I'll tell you mine. And,
Vush, VUSH.
oh, I'm Lilo.
We're going to look at these things. Oh, LELO.
Vush stimulation. Okay. We'll be Googling later.
It's like the Empress or something along those lines. I don't remember which one, but yeah. If you use enough lube,
Oh, you got to use the lube. Otherwise, it hurt.
yep, found that out the hard way.
yeah, or it's dry. To the point, though, it's going to revolutionize your life.
Well,
Like, we were using it while we were having sex, and the orgasm was so fucking intense. I was like, I can't do this while we're multitasking. It is too, this is like your whole fucking world lights up to the point where I was like, holy shit. I mean, did we do it again? Yes. But I was like, Jesus Christ. I'm never coming down from this. Thank you.
all right.
Yeah.
And that is an orgasm that you can't have two of because it's too stimulating.
Yeah.
You're like, this is too much.
I like to go a few rounds myself personally. But yeah, it's powerful. It's very powerful.
Elisa, yours is the Empress. And then yours is which
Yes.
one, Lindsay?
So
The
I have
Camilo?
2 options. So I have the Sona 2 Cruise,
That's like the Empress.
and I also have the Enigma. The Enigma is great for solo time because
Ooh.
it has a penetrating option that also has mobility and vibration and the clitoral stimulation. So you can kind of go like internal G-spot and clitoral suction, which is basically a Mothman setup. I'm just saying. It's a bestseller, and for good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Cruise is the one I have.
I don't know why. Apparently, this is a conversation I have with everybody. So, Merry Christmas. My other really good friend, Sam, she was telling me that there is a thing called a snail. She hasn't tried it yet, but it's a clitoral stimulator that is, I don't know if it's called the snail or it's like a snail. I don't fucking know. That is apparently supposed to be very good as well, but haven't tried it.
Snail Vibe Official. It looks like a snail. Okay, curious.
Oh, wow. Look at that. You know what it looks like? It looks like Benoit balls had like a baby and they mixed with, like a rabbit kind of thing, but with also like the remote control kind.
Interesting.
This is interesting.
I do want to try it out. I might buy it for myself.
Oh my God.
Oh,
It
do you see
moves
that?
in and out.
Yeah. Oh, how interesting. I don't know if I would call that a discrete storage case, but okay.
Where's the storage case? That's huge.
I know.
Holy-
I was like, it's massive. External, internal, and dual.
Oh, they have a mini.
No, I want the big one. Shop now. Yep.
Okay. I want to do a very short but meaningful smash or pass round.
Yeah.
So, smash or pass, secret exhibitionist where both parties are anonymous.
Smash. 100%.
Yeah, smash. Okay, monster level stamina or sex lasting more than 2 hours.
No, pass.
I'm going to rephrase this in the moment before you even say anything, Lindsay. Where you've had 20 orgasms already.
So I've never had 20 orgasms yet in my life in a row, but I want to find out what that might be like. So it's going to be a smash for me.
It's going to be a pass for me. I've had multiple orgasms in a row and your vagina goes, fuck, I'm done.
Yeah.
So
And
I like a 3 minimum is my rule if I'm going to be
to
satisfied.
be 36 again.
37. Thank you.
To be in my 30s again and even think about this. Great, because I tell you what is happening here in perimenopause, especially in the last couple of weeks. Sex drive is going down. And so that's something that, I feel a little, what's the word?
Bereft?
Nostalgic for.
For the days of multiple orgasms.
Not even so much, but the days of being able to be turned on so easily.
quickly.
It's not that anymore. I think also to tell people like that when they actually have sex, it's an hours long, almost 24-hour thing. Apparently moths, I didn't actually research this part, but he said even moths that are married or like they're in lifelong partnerships only have sex about twice a month because it lasts so long. And then she's a human and it does hurt her. So they, do tongue stuff the rest of the month. But the idea of being so sore after sex and filled with fluids and all of that it takes you like a week to recover. No, thank you.
I'm fine with the filled with fluid part. I just think it's like after so many orgasms, literally, like everything is done.
It's
I need
numb.
a break. Yeah, it doesn't.
Mine too.
Sometimes it doesn't feel good after a while. Yeah, so
That's
okay,
true. The clit can get tired out. That's true.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
She can get tired.
but not even the clit. Like the actual, like sometimes your labia can get. There's a lot of stimulation happening, and that it like can get sore, and so after 2 hours,
I guess for
like,
me though,
can we?
Yeah, if we're talking about orgasms, like I almost always have to have some kind of clitoral stimulation. Like it's not, I don't come just from penetration.
Intercourse.
So when I'm thinking about like, what it would take, how my clit would feel after that, I know how it feels after like multiples, and that is.
Okay, last one. Minotaur or Mothman, and I will give the caveat: Minotaur from Morning Glory Milking Farm, not from Thick Beef. Morning Glory Milking Farm, Minotaur or Mothman. So Cambric Creek.
Well, I'm Mothman all the way, as you know. So
Just based on, because I was like, can I have the Mothman personality and the Minotaur stuffs?
Accoutrement? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of in line with you, Jess. Like, I want everything about the Mothman minus the tongue, ironically.
Well, although I loved like his little ruff, how his ruff would get like, like
I know, it was so
flip up.
cute.
And the chirping, how he would like chirp and chirrup when he was like anxious or coming. Oh, I just thought that was Lindsay and I kept talking about that on the boat, like how adorable that one is. I loved it.
I need to back up for 1 second. You don't want the tongue? The
As we
tongue like
discussed-
slurping into her cleavage and like taking out the berries, licking her G-spot, like sucking on her
No.
clit. I was like, this is
Look, the visual was not sexy to me. I'm just like picturing somebody looking at it and then their tongue like unraveling and coming for me. Like again, I could read it in the book, but when I actually thought about what it would be like, his tongue just started dropping. And then there were times where he was clearly using his tongue, but then he was talking, and I just kept imagining him going like, "Oh, how do you look? Like, come on." It was just-
I'm the same. Like, I want the application in a sexual purpose, in the sense that I like the idea, like I said, of the tongue in the G-spot. That sounds fucking hotter than shit. I want Minotaur. But I want the
think what I-
personality of
Yeah.
Mothman.
of Mothman. I think what's really interesting to me about these like the monster genre of romance is I just feel like I never would have thought to myself, Lindsay, choose a monster. Because generally I always think I really like a vampire, generally speaking. I'm
Oh,
into
me
the
too.
biting. I kind of into
Yep.
the blood sucking. I don't know. It's hot. But the Mothman surprised me. I was really surprised by it. I would never have thought, because I don't care for moths like in my day-to-day life. I'm not like, ooh, sweet moth, come land on my hand. You know, I'm like with the spotter. But now I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to usher them outside. I'm going to be like, oh,
Murderer.
I know. Not anymore. I've changed my
They
ways.
have big boners. Come on.
They do.
Lindsay's gonna be out there like stroking it now. Come on, buddy. Let me see your tongue. Let me see your tongue. Come to mama.
Where's that little ruff? Let me scratch it.
Chirp, chirp.
You know, it's so sweet. I loved everything about it. The
Come
Minotaurs
lick me,
have
Moth.
huge balls. Like, I don't want to be smacked by some huge balls. No, thank you. I want a long tongue.
Let's get into moans and groans. I had two that I thought were great. One is from Debbie, 3 out of 5 stars, too sweet. Way too much inner dialogue, even during sex. So much that I had to go back pages to the conversation before the inner dialogue. Sex was unusual. I'm all for it, but give us some conversation about it. Really? Okay. I was like, what? What?
You can't because his tongue is out. This is what the conversation.
Yeah.
It's the.
The other one, I think Lindsay is going to agree with here. 5 out of 5 stars. Tongue is the emoji. It says that long tongue drove me wild, especially at the beginning when it went from a tree outside her window to her lady parts as she was lying on her bed.
Again, I just
Yeah,
kept
girl.
thinking about how much like bacteria and stuff he must have picked up in that journey from.
So I read a lot of reviews. I thought they were majority positive, I thought, for this book
Totally.
compared
Yes.
to others. One that I liked, and I thought this was confusing. So Ellie, she gave it 2 stars, but it was she really had nothing bad to say about it. So I'm not really sure why she chose 2 stars. She says, full disclosure, I went into this for all the wrong reasons. I am not an erotica reader, let alone a fantasy monster smut reader. But I was hungover as all heck, and I thought it would cheer me up. And you know what? It did. I was like, but
That's
why 2
amazing.
stars then? Like,
Yeah.
it cheered you up. It was a really cheering novel.
It was.
I
It was
don't-
actually just very lighthearted.
It was
Yeah.
a delight. A delight is the word that comes to mind. I don't remember how many stars this was, and this was like a longer review, but there was only one line that I'm going to read here that I really like. It is from Two Into Fiction, and the review was, the moral of the story is, leave your windows open when masturbating because the future love of your life might be peeping on a tree.
That's awesome.
I always leave
So-
my windows open while masturbating. So
That's the nature of where we live a little bit, but you know.
my windows are always open. So
Okay, so what's our one-handed review? About like chili peppers?
I'll give it a 4 chili. It was spicy. There was lots of sex, like lots of innuendo.
Yeah.
It was spicy. And it was, I thought it was creative. It was fun.
Yes.
It wasn't like the
Yes.
same thing over and over again. Each scene was a little bit different. We got new body parts involved.
I think what this author does so amazingly well, from having read 2 books by her, is the research that she does to make this believable, make something, regardless of whether you like it or not, but it's something you can actually picture in your head. Yeah, I'm really tickled, delighted by that.
Yes, agreed. Wholeheartedly. Now, moisture meter.
Maybe a 2.5.
I was a 3, so...
I'm going to go
Yeah, we could
3.5.
So we could say on average 3 between the 3 of us.
So 4 chili peppers, 3 moistures. I feel like that's
Yeah.
accurate. All right.
That's a pretty good overall review.
pretty darn approved by us. So what's on our nightstand for next week?
So next up, we are reading Heat Clinic by Alexis B. Osborne. This is a part of the Omegaverse, which we're definitely going to get into, except for very specifically in the Heatverse, which I think is Alexis's own version of the Omegaverse. So get ready for some alpha, omega, beta, spicy times.
Well, that's it for this week's adventure. We hope you enjoyed this as much as we did, and don't forget to send us your unhinged recommendations for reads. Just slide into our DMs on Instagram and give us your smutty suggestions. Or for more information, past episodes, and all the juicy details, visit our website at betweenthefoldspodcast.com. And until next time, we'll see you between the folds.
Welcome to the club. Pull up a seat between the folds where the kings all meet. Welcome to the club. Let's slip right through between the folds where literature is
This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The views and opinions expressed are our own and do not reflect those of the authors, publishers, or any affiliated parties. We are not affiliated with or endorsed by any of the authors, publishers, or products mentioned. Yet. Listener discretion is advised due to adult themes, language, and content.